All right, everyone. We are having another one of our world famous animator interviews, and today we are joined by Joshua Pinker. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thank you for
Appreciate you
having
being
me.
here. Joshua, can you kind of what are some things you've worked on that maybe my students might have seen? I'm guessing Courage the Cowardly Dog, since you have it's your background.
No, I wish I
Oh,
worked
you
on
didn't work on
that.
that one? Okay.
No, that's a little before my time.
I was about to
Yeah,
say, yeah, that would have been like about 25 years ago.
yeah. Some notable shows. I've worked on Teen Titans Go for
Okay.
Cartoon Network. Most recently, Solar Opposites for
Okay.
Hulu. Paradise PD for Netflix. My Little Pony, Daniel
Mhm.
Tiger's Neighborhood,
Mhm.
Wildcrats.
Sure.
Feel like those are some of the highlights. Maybe some of the others kind of went under the radar, but I think those might be notable.
Yeah, yeah. You did, oh, they did a Muppet Babies reboot, I'm seeing. I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah, yeah.
For you online people, Cyanide and Happiness.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of my students probably read stuff like that. What I usually start with is where does your love of animation or cartoons come from for you, do you think?
Yeah, I think just growing up with being involved, like just having comic books and video games. And
Mm,
I remember my dad took me to New York Comic Con before it was at Javits Center, and it was just
right.
like two floors, and it was $15 ticket, and you just walk
Yeah,
right
yeah, yeah.
in. So yeah, I feel very privileged that I got that late 90s experience, early 2000s of just seeing it being like fun and then really blowing up into like a big industry kind of
Sure.
thing that it is today. And yeah, I always kind of call myself a little bit of like a wild card when it comes to like being an artist because I
Okay.
actually growing up, I love the video games, I love the
Sure.
cartoons, but I wasn't an artist. I didn't
Okay.
draw every day, have a
Sure.
sketchbook. It was just end of high school. I was like, okay, what do I want to go to school for? And what I
Right.
go to school for, that's what I want to be my job. I don't want to go
Right.
undecided or get multiple
Yeah.
degrees. And it was just last minute. I was like, okay, video games, that seems too complicated with coding and 3D
Hmm.
and comic books. I'm not that good of an illustrator. And then for
Sure.
some reason, when it came to like cartoons, like 2D animation, I was like, well, that sounds kind of cool because I like I've heard of it being like puppeted and just a lot of rotating and things like that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do 2D animation, and I just went into it like just jumped on in with no
Hmm.
portfolio, no background, and just it was domino effect after that.
Okay. So you're really interested, you decided out of different kind of creative areas to kind of go down the cartoon route as opposed to video games or
Yeah.
illustration. So where does that take you? Do you go to school for art or animation?
Yeah, I went to the Art Institute of Boston,
Sure.
which was then kind of merged together with Lesley University, so that's just kind of what it's called today. But yeah,
Hmm.
it was like the I didn't apply to many schools. Also, I was just like, I don't know what are the good schools. I just kind of
Right.
my dad was living in Boston at the time. He's like,
Sure.
"Oh, there's this school." And I was like, "All right, I'll apply." And I kind of wrote an essay of why I wanted to join, and they were like, all right, come on in. Like if you want to do
Right.
it, like you got in. I was like, great. And I just went on in. Yeah, and it just kind of started and my
Okay. Great.
passion kept me going.
So you go to art school and then where does that take you once you graduate?
Yeah, once I graduate, it was kind of like the safety net below me was just taken out. And
Mhm.
the I think the first like punch in the gut was learning about outsourcing after graduating. And it was
Right.
just like,
Yeah.
outsourcing, what's this? And it's like, I
Sure.
thought all the cartoons are just here and going around. So yeah, so then it was just on my own, just kind of my school was a lot of just like this is the program and this is how you learn.
Right.
And then after school, it's like, okay, but like, what are the companies? Where are they
Right.
located? Who's working on what? And then how do I get in? So it was after school was just a lot of just research, and
Mm.
networking on LinkedIn and
Right.
connecting and just figuring out on my own how the industry is working.
Okay. So you're networking, you're trying to meet people. Where are you? Like, are you in New York? Are you in Boston
In
or
Jersey,
Jersey? Okay.
yeah. And then
Um,
it was just like, yeah, randomly getting a job here for like something on YouTube or like
right.
someone over here. I need something for like it was like small, very small projects, very
Sure.
low budgets.
Right, right.
And then yeah, I think that the side night and happiness was probably just I randomly messaged someone and they're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
we need some help and we're working
Uh,
on this project." And I was just like, boom, just like kind of swept right into it.
yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in sometimes you got to make, I mean, hey, if someone offers you something out of the blue, great. But like a lot of times in life, you got to hustle for it. And it's a lot
Yeah.
of like literally cold calling people and like you're going to, you're going to email 100 people and probably 99 are not going to get back to you or whatever,
Yeah.
tell you they're not interested. And then, but if you get that one person, it's like, okay, good. Now I can get my foot in the door. I can get something. And then you try to build off of that, basically,
Yeah. Especially when it's the same exact time that everyone else
Right,
graduates
sure,
and
yeah.
everyone's doing the same thing. And it's just like, it's just you're calling out in a snowstorm, basically.
Sure. So you work on, Cyanide and Happiness. What were you doing for them? Like what kind of work? Just
Just straight up character animation. And
okay.
that was kind of the thing also where I feel like in art school they want to make you like a quote unquote artist and it's like you're an artist and
Right,
this,
right.
but I was very much like, yeah, I'm not good at backgrounds or character design or
Okay.
this and or storyboard. I was just like, I just want to do the character animation. And I was like,
Sure.
this is so niche, but I'm just gonna tell everyone this is what I want to do. This is what I want to get hired for, and I promise I'm gonna give 100% on
Right.
just this. And that was my leading
Sure.
thing going into every job.
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes I get students who are like that, and I say you can do that. Just know that it may limit you,
Very much. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also that your portfolio better show whatever that one skill is, because
Yeah.
otherwise it's like, well, you say you want to do this, but your portfolio doesn't show that. So, okay, I don't know what you want me to do. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, if you're gonna say like, yeah, I'm not gonna draw, I'm not gonna design, but I'm really good at, character animation, then your portfolio video reel or whatever is going to have to really show the intricacies of that,
And
otherwise.
that was the thing. My when I graduated, my reel, it was like okay, like it showed potential, but
Mhm.
really it was like I would just nail the interview and they're like,
Sure.
you're a great guy to like talk to and we could see you fitting in well with the team and
Mhm.
you'll learn as you go and it shows you know the understandings, but you don't have any of that advanced stuff yet, but
Sure.
you'll get that on the job. So that also kind of saved me, just like having those really good interviews.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of my interviews with people, it's always about like you can be good, but part of it isn't just whether you can do it, it's also can you are you easy to get along with?
Yeah.
Because if you're
Yeah.
not easy to get along with, you better be damn good because very few people are going to put up with that unless like you're providing something that they can't find somewhere else. So like,
Yeah.
the social aspect is part of it.
Mhm.
Just as it is almost in any job, I would, kind of situation. So you work on cyanide and happiness, you're kind of getting your feet wet. Where does that take you?
Um, so that was like working from home, and
Hmm.
then I get a job in New York. My first like studio job in New York City was at a studio called Whiteboard
Okay.
Animation, and they kind of do those commercials where like the hand comes in with the Sharpie and it's like
Right, right, right.
drawing like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is the car insurance
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
so I got that, and then that led to getting a job at like this advertising agency in New Jersey, but
Okay.
their client was Toys R Us, and they
Oh,
were
okay.
like making like the Jeffrey the Giraffe. They were doing like 2D animation. So
Mhm.
there, it was like right when they were trying to like revamp the stores, and they were
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
let's
I was
really
about to say the
push.
fact you said Jeffries, I was is this like late 2000s or
Yeah, yeah.
'cause
They were
they
really
were
trying
dead
to
by
like,
like 2015, so this must have been like
yeah,
their last gasp before they like kind
it
of went
really
under.
was. And I was like, this is so cool. And they did it at, like one pop-up store, and then and then they just closed everything
Right.
down. And I was like, all that work for nothing. Yeah, and then after that, because I graduated 2014,
Okay.
and then by like 2016 was, yeah, 2016, it was just like I was kind of reaching the end of like finding little things online,
Mhm.
or it was just like it's a week here
Sure.
project or a month here. And then I remember I was like broke, and I really wanted to not make money unless it was from an animation job. And
Mhm.
I had nothing. And then I had an interview with UPS to be like, to put the boxes in the back of the truck. And then I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get this job, but I don't want to do it. I want to just do animation jobs. And then it was late at night, and I was on Facebook, and a studio in Canada posted that they were hiring, and then I applied. And then the next morning I wake up and the director emailed me. He's like, if you're willing to move, because this was over on like Vancouver side. He
Mhm.
was like, if you're willing to move and do the move and everything, he's like, you got the job. And I was just like,
Sure.
okay. And then yeah, just another domino effect after that
Sure.
of just getting jobs in Canada. Because I knew I was like, I had all these small projects, but I was like, I really want a TV spot, but no one was
Mhm.
working on TV
TV.
stuff. So it was difficult.
Okay, so you moved to Vancouver and you
Mm.
start working on various projects. What do you did you kind of do the same kind of thing, more character animation?
Yeah, just straight character animation, working in Adobe Flash, which is
Sure.
Animate now. But yeah, just working in that program, and yeah, kind of the same stuff.
Um, what do you did you feel like you were progressing in your skills because now you're working on all these TV shows and learning new skills, I'm assuming.
I was, but it was constantly like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing, and then I learn a whole bunch of new stuff, and I'm like,
And then you feel
okay, I
like the
gotta
imposter
add that to my
syndrome.
tool belt kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, I think it was like being confident, but being humble at the same time. Like I'm still
Right.
green, and there's people with more years of experience. So yeah, it's kind of like that balance.
Yeah, I mean, I think for anyone is there's always a sense of like there's always more you can learn no matter
Yeah.
really kind of what area you're kind of in. So you work for, sorry, what was the name of that studio?
In Vancouver, it was Bardell
Ardell.
Studios,
Okay.
and then after that, they used to be called DHX, and then they
Okay.
switched to being called Wild Brain now.
Oh, Wild Brain. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Wild Brain used, I don't know if it was a satellite, but there's one over here in California.
Yeah,
They
it used to be
used to be
Wild
in Oakland,
Brain, and then it was
I think.
DHX bought out Wild Brain,
Oh, okay.
and then it was DHX, and I think like I don't know, they were going like they were having financial troubles and
Yeah.
stakeholders, so then they're like, okay, we're gonna get rid of the DHX and just move everything to Wild Brain. Now we're a healthy company again. Like it was,
Right.
yeah,
They
one of
did some
those.
accounting magic kind of situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Okay, so you worked there, and then what took you now you're in Toronto, right? So how did you get over there?
Yeah, so I was on work permits and then doing jobs, and then the contracts ended and no one else really wanted to sponsor my work permit. So then I had to go back home to Jersey. And then when I got back home, I applied for permanent residency, which basically allows
Mm.
you to live and work anywhere in Canada for up to 5 years. A lot of
Okay.
people just think like, oh, if you just stay there for a couple months, you're a permanent residence now, like you're living there. It's
Right.
like you
No, there's
no, you
always legal stuff.
yeah, it's all legal stuff. You have to have like a card that says it. And then once I got it, I felt like there was more opportunities in Toronto, and it was
That's
just
good.
as soon as I got it, I just went online, applied for the first studio that I saw, which was Brown Bag Films, part of
Mhm.
Nine Story. And yeah, I applied and got hired and then moved to Toronto.
Great. Um, so you published a book, right? Called your
I
animator.
did.
Great. Uh, I have not had a chance to read it, but like what's kind of the gist of your book?
So, the gist of my book is how to have a successful career in animation.
Hmm.
And I feel that there's a bunch of information out there on how to be a good animation artist, but there's
Right.
not enough information out there on how do you network, how do
Sure.
you work a full-time job and do freelancing on the side? How do you work your way up at
Right.
the company? So it's kind of like all the information that school gives you is like right up to the door of getting
Right.
in. So now this is all the information after you've walked through the door.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I do feel this is a side tangent. I used to do taxes for people, like as a
Hmm.
volunteer. And you would be surprised or not be surprised how people who are in their 40s and 50s didn't understand the basics of like how taxes worked,
Right.
including myself. I mean, I don't want to like throw shade because like for the longest time, I just literally typed in numbers, but I didn't know what it meant. And I
Hmm.
was like, this is dumb. I need to know like what these actually mean. So I basically learned it so that I took the job so that I would be forced to like learn all of the tax code. And then I would talk to people and I was like, why was this never taught to me like in high school? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you learn algebra and all these things. And not to say like I don't use it, but it's like half a 1 month in a math class teaching me even what like a W-2 means or like
Oh
how it
yeah.
differs from like a 1099 or
Or
whatever.
or
It's like
how a mortgage works.
yeah, it's like you get taught like in some ways abstract ideas, which are not to say are meaningless, but like why not some actually concrete things that like
Oh yeah.
how do
I couldn't
you
agree more.
how to do your taxes? And then you can put that in addition to like the, imaginary numbers and math and all that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and so like that's kind of what you're saying, in my opinion, is like, like art schools are great and they'll teach you, the
Yeah.
principles and drawing
There's not
skills.
enough time in the
But
school,
they
yeah.
don't necessarily, I mean, depending on the school, some schools are better than others about like, yes, networking, how to get your foot in the door. I mean, that's part of what this video series is about, is kind of
Mhm.
educating people about the realities of what the animation world is beyond just like, yes, it's fun to draw characters, but like, what does it mean? What's
Mhm.
realistically the day-to-day life of, an animator and people who work in the industry and stuff like that. So yeah, it's great that your book talks about that. I'll put a link. This is going to be in like a web page later if
Okay.
someone's found this on YouTube somehow. But like I'll have a link that goes to your book on, I'm assuming Amazon, right? So
I have like my own website that I have it, and then
ah,
I
there you
kind of
go.
do package. I kind of turned it into like a workshop career coaching thing where I have also like there's the book, but then I do one-on-one portfolio reviews.
Sure.
I have like pre-recorded workshops on like how to master LinkedIn or
Mhm.
how to build a good portfolio website and things like that.
Sure.
So I'm trying to like build up all the resources.
Great. Um, one here's a question.
Yeah.
Um, let's say I have a student and I
Hmm.
teach usually intro animation courses.
Hmm.
Let's say they've taken basic, animation 101. We probably used Adobe Animate if it's still around when they're still using it. But like they do it, they're like, okay, I really like animation. Maybe I'm gonna make it a career, maybe not. I don't know. but I'm interested in moving forward and like learning
Mhm.
more beyond just whatever you get out of a one-on-one kind of level course. What would your advice be to that student?
Yeah, I think my advice would be to find cartoons that are already out, like on Netflix
Mhm.
or something, that kind of give you that inspiration of like,
Mhm.
I like animation, I want to keep doing animation, and I want it to look like this, which is like inspiring me and the type of artwork that I like.
Mhm.
So I would say watch shows, and then if you can, try to really slow it down, like get like a quick time
Mhm.
video of the episode and then go frame by frame with the arrows and then
Okay.
really kind
Really
of
study
break
it.
it down and just be counting like, okay, for the, anticipation, how many frames do they go up and then
Right.
down, and that way you can see what the formula is for
Okay.
the timing, and then take that and then copy that same timing on your character, on your own project to kind of
Mhm.
make it mimic but still be learning at the same time.
Great. I think that's really good advice. I think at the core, what you're really saying is study, right?
Yeah,
Break it
yeah,
down, study it. Um, you can say formula, you can say patterns of like what typically works. So yeah, I think that's really good advice for students. Here's a question, and you can kind of answer it however you want to answer. There's different ways you can look at this question. Some people talk about it from an industry point of view. Some people just talk about it from a creativity kind of standpoint.
mm.
Where do you see animation going in 20 years?
Oh, that's a good
You can
question.
answer it however you want to answer. It's up to you. You don't have to talk about it from an industry. You can talk about it from creativity or however you want to answer the question. But
Yeah, I mean, I hope it stays. Like, I hope it's better than it is today, but
okay,
I want it to just continue with, here's the big Pixar 3D movies, and
sure,
here's the cute 2D shows that play Saturday morning on
sure.
TV. Like, I hope that structure stays
Hmm.
the same. Um, Obviously, it would crush me to know in 20 years it's just AI pumping out an entire show with just the click of a button. I feel
Sure.
like there's a lot of things being put into place to make sure it doesn't go down that route. Um, but
I
I,
also think as much, I mean, I can't say how AI will progress as terms of what it can do or not do, but I
yeah,
do think that like at the end of the day, AI for the corporations is about saving money. I mean, that's the core
yeah,
of it. I mean, anyone who says otherwise, in my opinion, is lying about that. But like, it only works if there's a return on the investment. So in
yeah,
other words, like, if let's say they are doing an ad and, I don't know, they save $100,000 by doing it with AI as opposed to, animating with a studio, but then everyone hates the ad because it was done with AI. But the
yeah,
company's going to be like, well, I don't want it with AI then, because the whole point is if no one watches my ad because they hate AI, then there's no point in me using AI. Like the whole point, I mean,
exactly.
like it's a cost saving measure, but if everyone hates the final product, then, and I think we're starting, I'm not, it's hard for me to say, but I think they're starting, at least at this point, to be like a backlash.
Hmm.
And, it was cute for a couple minutes and, everyone loves making their own little quick little animation by just typing and not actually having to do much work. But like, are you going to spend, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, when you can watch something on YouTube for free, sure, whatever, or TikTok for free, sure, whatever. But like, are you going to watch an entire Netflix show? Are you going to go to the
Yeah,
cinema and spend $17 on a ticket? And the answer is, I don't think people will. And then so they're going to go, okay, well, then this isn't worth the time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's got to be a return on the investment. It's still a business. So, like, I'm hoping that, I'm not saying that AI is not going to be used, and I'm sure it will be in certain ways, but I think it's going to be more pinpointed. And the fact that,
yeah,
like, in other industries like AI books, there's no AI book outside of like general morbid curiosity about how AI would write a book. I've never, not that I'm a huge reader or anything, but I haven't heard of like some book that was entirely written by AI
Yeah, no,
being
yeah.
like the number one on the New York Times bestseller.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which says to me that like, yes, it can do it, but everyone goes, this is crap. I'm not going to read this or pay for it.
Yeah. It's
So, you know what I mean? So it's like it once again, it's like it only is beneficial if people pay for it. But if no one wants to pay for it, then, they're going to have to go back to the actual humans who know how to connect with other humans. You know what I mean?
yeah.
At least that's my hope. Hopefully, I'm
I
not.
think maybe there'll be, well, one thing I think is important to mention is a lot of people just think the animation industry as US based, and they're like,
Sure.
oh, there's Hollywood, and then that's where it starts, and then
Right.
goes here. But I think what a lot of people need to understand is that there's animation all around the world,
Oh
and
yeah. I've interviewed people in South Africa. South Africa
yeah,
has a big growing.
and there's
Brazil has a big
places,
growing one, is my understanding.
yeah,
Has a lot of studios that are, I can't talk to them because I don't speak Portuguese, but like, I know I've heard from other animation companies, smaller ones, that there's a lot of competition coming from those areas. So like,
yeah.
yeah,
And even like Ireland, UK area, like they have their own networks, their own writers, their own
right,
voice actors. So there's shows where it's like, hey, we're on season 5, we're killing it,
right,
and
right,
we'll never, in the US ever hear or see that show. And then over here, it's like, oh, it's hard to just get season 1, and people are like, the industry's dead. And it's like, not really. Like other
right.
people are thriving. It's just,
Sure.
so I think there's always gonna be that like different levels of people thriving and struggling around the world for animation. And I can't really think of like new models. I remember it was like during COVID time, there was this show where I think it was like, forget the title of the show, but it was on Netflix, and then you can like pick what happens. Like it will kind of freeze and it's
Oh,
pick your
I
own
never watched, it was like
destination.
Bandersnatch, right? Like that sort of
Yeah,
choose
like
your own
that.
adventure using like a remote.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like that was like a little bit ahead of its time, but I feel like something like that might become more popular just so it feels more tailored to you and
I
your
actually had
experience.
another interview with a special effects guy who thinks the future of movies is sort of interactive
Yeah.
games where like, or, it's kind of like a VR experience where like you get to tailor it to exactly the decision points that you want
Hmm.
because AI can generate storylines really quickly. So it's like you can just quickly go, oh, okay, this. Which to I said, well, the problem with that is then everyone gets a different experience, so you can't talk about it. Like you can't, like right now, half the fun of watching a movie is like talking about it with your friends.
Yeah.
But if everyone has a different experience and you can't do that, he's like, that's old school thinking. In the future,
Yeah.
maybe people won't worry. I'm like, yeah,
Because there's a lot of
maybe.
video games that are doing that right now,
Yeah,
where it's just kind of like you pick the conversation and then that based on the
yeah, yeah.
answer changes.
They've had dialogue generators for years within video
Yeah.
games. That's nothing new. Even before AI, they've had a
Yeah.
lot of those.
I think at the end of the day, animation's entertainment, and they're never gonna stop trying to come out with entertainment for
Sure.
humans. So yeah, I don't think animation's ever just gonna cease to exist.
All right. Do you have any parting words or advice for my students? You don't have to, by the way. I don't want to put you on the
Parting
spot,
words.
but
Um, Animation is not for everyone.
okay.
And I think you can go in. We kind of talked about this before. Like there's you can go into animation and it's almost like an umbrella where, okay, I'm not a good animator, but maybe I'm a
Mhm.
good character designer or I'm a good rigger, storyboard artist. So just because you're not good at one asset in the animation pipeline, there's still many multiple positions that you
Sure.
can apply for. But it's one of those things where you have to have the drive to really want to make it a career and make it your
Mhm.
life. And uh, getting that drive is not something anyone can teach you or give you. You
Sure,
just
yeah.
have to have it or you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I tell this to my students all the time. I'm like, I can teach you X, Y, and Z, literally. Like, here's how you do this, here's how you do
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
here's how you do this. But like, I can't teach passion. That has to come
yeah,
from within. I can try to show you things that hopefully inspire you, but at the end of the day, it's like there's only, it's the old sort of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. It's like I can
yeah,
show you things that I think are cool, that I think are interesting, but if you don't if you don't have the passion or find it interesting, I don't know what to tell you. Like maybe this
yeah.
isn't the career for you
I
if you're thinking of it as a career, like
I also had it where when I was doing my 1 year of teaching, I asked my class like, okay, there's this show or like what's a show you guys like to watch? And they're like, oh, I like
Mhm.
this show. And it's like,
Sure.
okay, what studio works on that show? And they're like, I have no idea. And it's like,
Right.
where's it located? I have no idea. And I kind of told them I was like, imagine if you were a chef going to culinary school and you're like, oh, I want to become a chef and graduate from culinary school, and you have no idea what restaurant is a Michelin star restaurant. Like it just
Sure.
doesn't make sense. If you want to work for the best, you should be knowing where those restaurants are located. Same as being an artist, knowing where the cartoons that inspire you are made.
Sure, yeah. No, I agree with you, yeah. All right. Well, I know we talked about it a little earlier. I know you have sort of and we've talked about it via email. You have sort of your I don't want to say course or your kind of um uh journey kind of website, right? To kind
Hmm.
of help students kind of move along. You
Yeah,
want to
kind
talk
of
a
like
little
a
bit about
career
that?
coaching kind of thing. Yeah, self-help.
Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about that or what that is
Yeah,
and the website?
it was so it's just youranimatedjourney.com, and I always get students or people in the industry messaging me, emailing me, asking for advice. So I think I just try to save myself time because I'm always like answering in like paragraphs and just kind of typing the same thing. So I thought, let me just consolidate all the advice that I can think of, all the tips, and just put it into like this package and just kind of turn it into a little side business that I've been doing. So, yeah, that's just basically just trying to give back and help as much as I can because I know how difficult it is to get into the industry or I didn't really have anyone to talk to like ask questions or get an idea of how things work. So just trying to fill the gaps in
Sure.
what I feel people need to know.
Great. Do you have any other place people can find you online? Like, like website
Yeah,
or
so just Josh
socials?
Pinker on LinkedIn, on Instagram, that kid Pinker, and that's about it. And yeah, the book's website.
Great. All right. Well, we appreciate your time and your insight on things. Thanks so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you.